Hi guys, hi. I would like to welcome you back to my channel, Tisha Chandre, for another great episode of Makeup and Manna. First, let me say, any of the music that you hear playing in the background, I do not own any of the rights to it. Secondly, if you've already subscribed to my channel, I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your support and for subscribing. Thirdly, if you have not subscribed, I hope you do so after watching this episode. Leave me comments, ring that bell, and subscribe, guys. So, let's get into this episode. This week's episode is titled Becoming Sassy for My Season. And me becoming sassy is basically me putting on a face, me getting dolled up, experimenting in this makeup. And I don't know what look I'm going to do today, but hey, we're just going to get into it. So, becoming sassy for this season, for my season, for your season, becoming sassy for your season. As I was looking and reading and studying on what I was going to talk about this week, so many things came to my mind, and I stumbled upon seasons. And I began to read and look at different scriptures and different things about seasons and what seasons really had to, how seasons really play a role in our life. And we know that King Solomon observed the cycles of life in Ecclesiastes chapter 3. He observed those, and he stated, there's a time for everything. So he was basically letting us know that there is an appointed time for everything under the heaven. And we know this, that there's an appointed time. And this just means that God has a plan for all people. God has a plan for all people. So he provided cycles of life. And each of them, in each cycle or each season, there is work for us to do in each of those seasons. So whatever season we're in, there is something that we're supposed to be doing in those different seasons. So we also know that in our different seasons, there will be problems that comes up. There will be problems that arise throughout these seasons and throughout these periods in our lives as we're going through and transitioning. But the thing you need to know is that without God, life's problems have no lasting solution if you don't have him with you in each of these seasons. So timing is important. Timing is very important. Timing is very important. It's very important. So to fully and really experience God's peace throughout the many seasons or storms, we must learn to discern, accept, and appreciate the perfect timing of God. We have to discern, we have to accept it, and we have to appreciate the perfect timing of God, because his timing is perfect. So when we don't submit to God's timing, it can lead us to despair, rebellion, or moving ahead without his advice. Now, I've experienced a season where I moved without his advice. I moved without basically getting permission from him that I could move. And when I tell you, one of the worst things I could have done. Now, granted, I learned some lessons out of that season I was in, but you cannot pay me to move now without hearing his voice, without listening to him. Because the hard lesson that I learned moving without his advice, or moving when he didn't tell me to move, those are lessons I guess I had to learn. I didn't have to, but because I did it, then I put myself in a place where I had to learn the lesson of moving without his advice. So seasons. So the seasons. He created seasons. He created seasons and cycles for us to go through. So the 4 different seasons we will experience as believers and followers of Christ comes with its own set of benefits and challenges. So you must know that each season comes with benefits and challenges. Whatever season you're in, and I hope by the end of this video, you'll be able to identify what season you're in. but it comes with its own benefits and challenges each season. Also, in order to determine which season we are in or what season you're in at all times, it requires us to be sharp in our spirit. So that means in these seasons, we got to be seeking him as well. So we can identify what season we're in. That means that we have to stay close to him. We have to, rely on him and heighten our discernment in whatever season that we're in. So our spirit has to be sharp in order for us to know what season we're in. Now, looking at the four seasons. So in the natural, winter is marked as a long and dreary season. It's a long and dreary season. It is a time of heart growth or inner growth for trees and plants. That's what the winter season is for. It's for heart growth or inner growth for trees and plants. Now in the spirit for us, this represents a time of introspection and the examination of our hearts and motives. A time of allowing God to make changes in us. A time for strengthening up and maturing. That's your winter season. It's an examination season. That's what the winter season is for the spirit. Now for spring in the natural, in nature. Spring is marked as a time of cleansing and restoration from the difficult days of winter. Soil rotates, refreshing rains, a time of transition, a time of pruning and regrowth. This is what spring is in the natural and nature. Now spiritually, spring represents a time of joy and glory after dormancy and hardships, a time of pruning. This is a time when God shapes and molds his people in the springtime. This is the spring. Now summer in nature. Summer is marked as a time of extreme dryness and heat. And we know that all too well in Alabama. Extreme dryness and heat, marked by a need for more water than usual to sustain and strength, oh Lord, y'all. Okay. It's marked by a need for more water than usual to sustain strength and life. There we go. I got it. Top of the ground cracks from the heat. So it's a time of extreme dryness and heat. So in the spirit, in the summertime, it represents a time of spiritual dryness. A time of needing more spiritual food than usual to stay replenished. True Christians come out of this season stronger. Others may stumble and sometimes permanently in this stage. That's the summer. Now the fall in nature or in the natural, fall. It's marked as a time of harvest. A time of pruning in preparation for winter. Leaves fall from the trees, and it's a time of transition. So in the spirit for the fall, in the spirit, it represents a time of harvest when the Christian bears their fruit. More correction and sharpening from God is required to prepare the individual for the long winter season. This is the fall. The fall, it says more correction and shaping from God is required in this season. It's required in this season to get you ready for the long winter that's ahead. To get you ready for the long winter. Now, if I can be honest, I feel like I've experienced all 40 seasons in a matter of months. I feel like I done experienced all 4 within the last 5 or 6 months. I don't feel like I done been in winter, spring, fall, and the summer. All of them at one time. And also, I want you to let me know, like I said, by the end of this video, what season you feel that you're in. What season that you feel that you're in. And I hope I didn't go through those too fast for you to kind of get the gist of which season is what. So, overall, whatever season you're in, whatever season you find yourself in, one thing is very, very important about your season. One thing for sure is very important about your season. It is important to allow the season that you're in right now to run its full course. It's important that you allow your season to run its full course. Because God's intention is always to bless us despite the circumstances we face, because He's good. He's a good God. So we have to allow our season to run its course. And I know I found myself trying to come out of my season fast, or trying to end my own season and move to another season before it's time. And I hadn't got everything God wanted me to get out of the season that I'm currently in. And I find myself trying to move into another season because it's getting too hard, or I'm tired of just, being in the same space or in the same time. But it's very important for you to let your season run its course. That way you can get everything you're supposed to get out of it. Because whatever is in your current season that you need to get out of it, it's important that you get it out of that season for your next season. Because it's something about this season that's preparing you for your next season. So if you don't let it run its full course, then you may miss something or an important step that you need for your next season. So it's important to let it run its full course. Although it don't feel good, the season that you're probably currently in don't feel good, you don't like it, you're ready for it to end, you're just ready for it to be over with, and you just over it. Like you just over the season. But what I've learned literally over these past few months, what I've actually learned is that hard times will bring forth good character if we allow God to perform His perfect will in our life. So when you're going through your hard times, if you allow God to do what He's trying to do and do what He wants to do, and let Him take full control in your season, that hard time will bring forth good character. Because that's all God does in each season. He's trying to build our character. Build our character. So that when people do see us, they see Him. They see Him because we represent Him in the earth. So we got to become and look more like Him. He already made us in His image, but things that we do or choices we make, it cause us not to look like our daddy. So we have to be, it's important that we allow the seasons to run its full course and allow those hard times to shape your character. Whatever the Father is trying to do, allow God to perform that perfect will in our life. Don't make the mistake of trying to change the season you are in. Listen, that's enough for me. That's enough for me. Don't make the mistake of trying to change the season that you're in. If you're in the winter season, don't be trying to jump into the hot girl summer. It ain't your time. Don't try and jump to the summer. If you're in your winter season, let your winter season be that. Let it be that. And don't try and change your season. We have to strive. We have to definitely strive to be like Paul. When he said in Philippians 4:11 through 13, he says, I am not saying this because I am in need, for I have learned to be content, whatever the circumstance. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. Same for me. I know what it is to be in need. I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do everything through Him who gives me strength. Man, that's good. Being content in whatever season you're in, being content in that season, being content whether, like he said, you're hungry or well fed, or whether you're plenty or in want. Being content with that, because still, if you're hungry and God tell you to do something, and you do it, and God tell you to do something, you'll do it hungry. You'll do it hungry. Need. You're doing stuff, and you need something, and you steady doing something for other people, and you're in need. If God tell you to do it, you still can do it, because it says you can do all things through Christ that strengthens you. So it doesn't matter if you're hungry or you're in need. If He tell you to do it, guess what? Do it. Do that thing. Be content. Be content wherever you are, and just do it. Listen, if your source of power isn't God, then your season of life can and will become unbearable. Can and will become, trust me, I know this all too well from experience. If God is not your source, if He's not your source of power, your season of life can and will become unbearable. I can remember a time like yesterday where my source was my relationship I was in at the time. That was my source. That's what had me going from day to day. That fueled me, that I just tried to strive to make sure my relationship was good. That became my source of power. But then at one point, I just was like, I had to look myself in the mirror, because I couldn't do it anymore. And I was just like, God, if you don't help me with this situation, I don't know what I'm going to do. So at that point, it was at that point that I definitely made God my source. He had to be my source of strength, my source of power. He had to become everything to me in that moment, because I was at my wit's end. I could no longer do it in my own strength or in my own power. So He became my source in that moment. And also something, we just have to learn how to cast our cares, cast everything on Him. Whatever season we're in, when that season becomes hard, whenever that season becomes trying, whenever it comes like that, we have to learn to honestly cast our cares on Him, cast our worry. I heard something this morning in my meditation time. If you know how to worry, then you know how to meditate. If you know how to worry, then you know how to meditate. So instead of worrying about that thing or that season or whatever it is, choose to meditate. Choose to cast it and give it to Him. Give it to Him and keep moving. But that's a choice. You have to make that choice to do that. And honestly, I'm still trying to learn how to cast everything on Him. If I can just be honest. Sometimes I feel like I'm casting everything and casting all my cares on Him and not worry about it. Then I find myself 10 minutes later thinking about that thing and be like, well, if I move this or do this, then this might work. And then that means that I cast it on Him for a few minutes, and then I went back and be like, no, God, give it back. Let me see if I can figure it out real quick. So we honestly have to cast our cares on Him. Learn how to leave it there with the Father. Because He's already worked it out. We just got to catch up to what He's already done. So learning how to cast our cares on Him. Because I know that if I humble myself under His mighty hand, in due time, He's going to lift your girl up. He's going to lift me up in due time. But I have to humble myself under Him, under His mighty hand. I have to give Him full control, full reign over everything. And if I do that, then He'll take care of me. He'll honor His word. If I follow His direction, He'll honor His word concerning my life. If you follow His direction, He'll honor His word concerning your life. We just got to learn to turn it over. We got to learn to turn it over and give it to Him. Let Him do it. Go through your season, but you got to go through your season, Sassy. Get up. Put some makeup on, or a man get up, bathe, put on some cologne, and go through through your season. Sassy, go through your season with your head held high, because in due time, in due season, he will lift you up. He's going to bring you out. You won't be in that season forever. You won't be in that season always. But learn to be sassy in your season. Learn to rejoice in your season. Learn to rejoice. And then when that thing happened, when you come out of that season, when God brings you through that, then you can rejoice. Because you already know he's doing it. You already know he was going to do it. So guys, be sassy in your seasons. Take your seasons for what it is. Accept those seasons and go through those seasons with your head held high. Stay in his face. Stay in his word. Stay in his presence, so that you'll know how to discern your season and take your season for what it is. Learn the lessons that he's trying to teach you. Let him mold you. Let him build your character. Let him get whatever he needs to get out of you and deposit what he wants inside of you. And just do all things. Do all things through him that loves you, that strengthens you, that keeps you, that sustains you. It's him. We can do it with him, and we can't do nothing without him. So guys, I appreciate you for tuning in to this week's episode of Makeup and Manna. As we can see, I did not finish, but I will take pictures and post at the end, as I always do. But guys, be sassy in your season. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Be blessed.